Yeah, so in the last Dhamma talk, we were discussing about the Gochara Sampajanya, the comprehension of domain. So this means that the yogi keep within the domain of the yogi, which is Satipatthana. The domain of Satipatthana practice. So you keep within this domain with clear comprehension. So within this domain is the territory of the yogi. So the yogi is safe within this territory. Safe from what? Safe from kilesa mara. The mental defilements, mara as defilements, defilements like greed, hatred, delusion. As long as you continuously noting. So this what it means, clear comprehension of domain. Keeping within the domain of Satipatthana means anupasana. So you're continuously noting. And as long as the yogi is continuously noting throughout the day, plus 2 watches of the night. So the yogi is safe. So that means not just walking and sitting. Yes, throughout the day and 2 watches of the night, you purifies the mind by practicing Satipatthana continuously, walking, sitting, every moment you note. So you purify the mind, but not just walking and sitting meditation. Even during the daily activities also. And also when going out for alms in the case of monks. So lay yogis means when you go to the dining hall and eat. So when you're eating, so there must be this clear comprehension of domain. Means continuously noting every moment. Okay, so as you're walking to the dining hall, as you sit down, do your bowing, do the chanting, then after that get up. Sometimes you do offering. Then when you join the queue, take the food, then go to your seat, sit down, and you look at the food, then you take the food, put in your mouth, chew, swallow. So every single thing must be done with noting. That's keeping within the territory, the domain of the yogi. So after eating, you get up, take your tray, go to the sink, you wash, dry the tray, put it aside. All this must be done with noting. When you go back, walk back to your room. So everything must be done with noting. All daily activities, not just when you go for your meals, also when you're washing, when you're sweeping, cleaning, and so on. Okay, so so as long as the yogi is noting continuously in this way, he or she remains safe within the proper domain of the yogi. So the mental defilements will then have no opportunity to arise. Okay? Because you are noting, right? Yeah, exercising Satipatthana, right? So you are noting, making effort, note continuously, note precisely every moment with this ardent, energetic effort, with mindfulness, with clear comprehension. Right? So every moment you note like this, what happened? Overcoming covetousness and grief. That means the hindrances are put aside. They have no opportunity to arise. Okay? Remember, Overcoming doesn't mean that it arises and then you overcome. It means you note continuously. So as long as you are noting continuously, the defilements, the hindrances have no opportunity. So in this way you overcome. So within this domain, the mind remains pure and clear. So it's called clear comprehension of domain. I'll give you one example. Is a recent example. Recently, one yogi reported. So he was meditating at home. Okay, so doing walking meditation. So he was doing walking meditation, and he was in quite a good samadhi at that time. So he was able to follow the footsteps very carefully. Noting intention, lifting process, moment to moment. Okay, so not just one lifting, but moment to moment lifting. The intention, pushing, intention, lifting up. So bit by bit, moment by moment, he was able. The mind was following. And pushing forward also as one movement, another movement. So not just the movement, as the noting is clear also. Noting, knowing, all this is clear. So it was able, the mind was completely tied to the object. Doesn't sway away from the object, not distracted from the object. Fully within the territory, the domain of the yogi. So that is clear comprehension of domain. Then as he was noting, then he saw something passes in front of him. So he noted, seeing. It didn't even occur to his mind what he is seeing, just seeing. Then immediately the attention goes back to the walking. So walking again, follow very carefully, lifting, pushing, placing, and so on. So all the time, still within the domain. So his mind was pure, it was clear. He was able to note all this, discern all this mental, physical nature in the process of walking. Okay, and so this goes on for another 2 to 3 minutes. He was able to note continuously several steps because he was moving very slowly. So he took another 2 or 3 steps. Okay? Not with noting. Okay, so it took about 2 or 3 minutes. So, and then there was a moment, a lapse in mindfulness, lapse in the noting. And in that one moment, the thought arises. That was a rat. Now you know what he saw just now? That was a rat. And then, just because of this one thought, one moment, a lapse of mindfulness, and this thought arises, the floodgate opened, and out came all manner of thought, which sweep him far out of the domain, the territory. Okay? So the thought, it was a rat. The rat is in the house. How did it go in? How can I get it out? So all these thoughts start flooding the mind one after another. Then, worry and anxiety start to set in. But just a moment before that, the mind was completely peaceful, calm, clear, steady, nothing, flowing within the territory. In one moment, a lapse of mindfulness, it got flung far out of the territory. So the whole mind change. I start to become excited. What am I going to do? How? So, so this is remaining within the territory and being thrown out of the territory, your domain. It just takes one moment. And that moment makes a difference. If you have been noting in that moment, and the thought arises, it was a rat, I quickly note, realizing, then the mindfulness will still be intact. If the mindfulness is there, then it can still hold the mind within the territory. Nothing will still go on. So then you may start to consider how to deal with this problem. With mindfulness, he can consider and think, and the mind will be clearer and it will be still steady, not excited. Thinking with mindfulness. That's where the clear comprehension of the first two, clear comprehension, what is beneficial, what is suitable. So that means considering with a clear mind. When you consider with a clear mind, you will know exactly what to do. So, So you see, one moment makes all the difference in the yogi's practice. So that's why this clear comprehension of domain is very important. So you have to strive to keep within the domain, no matter what happened. So, as one yogi once said, when the world may come to an end, it doesn't matter. What is important is I keep noting. That's the commitment of a yogi. So when you are meditating, that is the most important work for you at that moment, no matter what happened. So the world can come to an end. So you still continue, hold on to that mindfulness, hold on to that domain. So like the king that defends his territory. So okay, so for today, there's a lot of story. Because in order to illustrate this clear comprehension of domain, so in the previous talk we talked about the 4 kinds of bhikkhus, right? So the one that brings his meditation with him when he go for alms round, but failed to bring it back with him when he returned to the monastery. And then the second one, he failed to bring it with him, but remember to bring it back. Okay? And then the third one is, of course, the worst kind of yogi. So he completely negligent. So pamada. So neither does he bring it with him nor bring it back. Okay. So it's the fourth one, the fourth kind of bhikkhu or yogi, who is our example, the example that we must follow. He who brings it with him and then brings it back. Right? And in the commentary gave several examples from the ancient past, how bhikkhus practice this practice of bringing forth and bringing back, okay, keeping within the domain. of Satipatthana. Okay? So the first one, he talks about a group of monks. So just read to you. So for noble youths, that means very young men, who are desirous of the goal. The goal means the goal of the practice, liberation from suffering. Okay, so this noble youth, young men, who are desirous of reaching liberation from suffering, went forth in the sasana, in the Buddha sasana, and they lived together in groups of either 10 or 20 or 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, or even 100. So in those days there were still a lot of monks. So even in Burma today there are still a lot of monks. Malaysia, very difficult to find. Here only 2 monks. More yogis, lay yogis than monks. Okay? But in those days there were many monks, and they practiced together, they grouped together, and practiced together. Okay? And so they dwell together after making a pact, an agreement among themselves. So they have this agreement. They say to each other, say, friends, you did not went forth, become a monk. You did not went forth because you were troubled by debt. So some people go forth because they owe money, they cannot pay. So they ordain, thinking that by ordaining, then they will escape. In the Buddha's time, there were people who did that. That's why the Buddha laid down a rule, Vinaya rule, and this becomes part of the ordination procedure. So on the day when they ordain, they will be asked this question. One other question. There will be a series of questions. One other question is, are you in debt? So if you are in debt, you cannot ordain. You will not be allowed to ordain. Otherwise, they will come and look for you in the Sangha. So maybe in Buddhist land, people may forget. If let's say it's you ordained already, then out of faith they let you go. But in Malaysia, this is not a Buddhist land, so it will not happen. Although I do know of a case of a person who he actually owed people a lot of money, and then he decided to ordain. And then one lay devotee, I think, I don't know for what reason, maybe pity or out of faith, or a desire to do dana or what. So he paid off his debt for him. So there's one case like this. But then later on he disrobed. So they said they make a pact. They tell each other. So he did not went forth because he was troubled by debt, nor because he was troubled by fear, nor because of difficulty in earning a livelihood. So there are some people who think, so difficult to earn a livelihood, better become a monk. Monk every day got food to eat, dana. So there are people who have such thought also. So they say, no, we did not went forth because of these reasons. These are not the real reason, the good reason why one ordained as a monk. Okay, it says you went forth here as one desirous of liberation from suffering. And this is the right reason to ordain. In fact, this is the right reason for a yogi to come to practice meditation. Okay? So you practice not because you want psychic power or for any other worldly reasons. So you practice because you want to be completely free from suffering in the rounds of rebirth. So as the sutta says, the purpose of going forth is so that this suffering, this present suffering, will come to an end, and a new suffering will not arise. So that means complete cessation of suffering, not just temporary cessation of suffering. So that means not to heal your disease, because if you heal your disease, another disease will come. So this is not complete liberation from suffering. Okay? So complete liberation from suffering means you strive to develop the insight, to remove ignorance, avidya, the ignorance that fail to see clearly the nature of things as they really are, the nature of impermanence, suffering, and non-self. Okay? So by developing the insight, the wisdom that remove this ignorance, then because ignorance is a support for craving, and craving is the cause of suffering. Okay? So when the support of craving is removed, craving also will remove, will come to cessation. Okay? So when craving ceases, the cause of suffering ceases, suffering also itself will cease. So that means the cycle of birth and death will come to cessation. Okay? So that is the meaning. That is the reason why we practice. So they say, you went forth here as one desirous of liberation from suffering. Therefore, you should restrain the defilements that has arisen while you are going forward, even as you are going forward. So that means as you are walking, and then the defilements arise, immediately you must note and restrain that defilements. And you should restrain the defilements that has arisen while you are standing, even as you are standing. So you should restrain the defilements that has arisen while you are sitting, even as you are sitting. And you should restrain the defilements that has arisen while you are lying down, even as you are lying down. Yes. So that means in whatever posture the defilements arise, in that posture, you restrain it by noting. Immediately you must note. Okay? Note and restrain it with noting. Okay? Remember, we mentioned this before. This does not mean you forcefully cut off, right? It simply means you note by diverting all the mental energy to the work of noting. So then there's no more mental energy left for the defilements. Then naturally they will cease. Okay? You don't have to do anything to it. It will cease by itself simply by making effort to note. So this is the agreement that they make with each other. So it is said that while they are going on alms round, so along the way, along the road, there are stone markers that are placed at intervals. Okay, just as our road today also, there are markers every 1 kilometer or so. There are stone markers. You travel along the highway, you know. So, so having made a pact in this way, they go on the Armstrong, paying exclusive attention to their subject of meditation, using the stone markers to tell the distance they have covered. So that means when they're walking, their attention is fully on their meditation subject. They don't worry about how much distance they have covered. So when they see the stone, they know, okay, this much has been covered. So all the time, their attention only on their meditation subject. Okay? And then, if while they are going forward, they are walking, should a mental defilement arise in any one of them, that monk, that bhikkhu will restrain it in that same posture. That means in the posture of walking. So they walk together, right? So in a single file, right? According to seniority. So if any one of them defilements arise, so they will restrain it while they are walking. Okay? Immediately they note, okay, and restrain it. Okay? Should he be unable to do so, to restrain it, then he stops and remains standing. So this is what we instruct the yogis also during your walking meditation. If defilements arise, a thought arise, you're not thinking, or if let's say anger arises, anger. So immediately you note, and should it disappear there and then you continue. Return your attention to walking, and you continue walking. Don't have to stop. But if you note, and then it doesn't stop, anger still go on, then you stop your walking meditation. You stand, and as you are standing, you note. So this bhikkhu, because he's unable to restrain, so he remains standing. Okay. So you stand and then you note. Only after it disappears, then you continue your walking meditation. Okay. So, but this bhikkhu, so he remains standing. And so because he stopped there, he stand there, then those coming behind him also stop and stand. So when they see him stop, they know already, this one. And there's defilements in his mind. Okay? So, and he also know, this bhikkhu behind me, all these monks behind me know there's defilements in my mind. Okay? So then he admonishes himself. He says, this bhikkhu knows the thought that has arisen in you. This is not proper for you. So, and having, it is said here, having admonished himself in this way, he develops insight and enters into the plane of the Noble One right there. So this is very good yogi. So just by noting the defilements, restraining it, then he can develop insight, see its impermanent nature, and then enter in the plane of the Noble Ones, means he attained Maggaphala. So, maybe because of the Hiri Ottappa that arise. So this other bhikkhu knows my defilements. So he worked harder to restrain it. And then he note harder. And then the insight arise. Maybe we should make all the yogis do this. And make you all do walking meditation, in a single file. Yeah, in Thailand, I visited one monastery. I was staying there, forest monastery in Chiang Mai. So there they do walking meditation like this in single file. So it's like group walking meditation. There is somebody who shout out the instruction, lifting, they all lift together, pushing, push together, placing, they all place together. So maybe you should make your do this. Then somebody had defilements, then he stopped, everybody behind stop. Then we know, this one got defilements. Then maybe because of that, the hiri otapa will be stronger. Right now, your practice, nobody knows what's going on in your mind. However, it says here, so he stands and then he notes the defilements. And then it says here, should he likewise be unable to restrain the defilements while he's standing, then he sits down. So we go by the side of the road and sit down. So then those coming after him also sits down together with him. So the situation is becoming more awkward for this bhikkhu. Okay. Then he admonishes himself in the same way. So now they know that not only the defilements have arisen, you are unable to restrain it. So more hiri otapa will arise. So if after doing that he's still unable to enter into the planes of the noble ones, then he suppresses the defilements and goes paying attention only to his subject of meditation. That means he kind of surrender. So nothing cannot work. That means his mindfulness is still very weak, unable to completely restrain the defilements. So what he does is he suppresses it. That means he uses some kind of like, not forcefully cut it off, but just gently, as we explained before, just detach your mind from the thought. Redirect it gently away from the thought. And then go back to your usual noting. Okay? And then double the effort. That's what he says here. So he suppresses the defilements and then goes paying attention only to his subject of meditation. So he makes effort to ensure that his mind is tied up only with the subject of meditation. Okay? So he does not raise a foot with a mind separated from his subject of meditation. And so he makes effort in this way. So he makes sure that every step that he takes, it is with mindfulness. Okay? He's noting with his subject of meditation. And should he fail to do so, should there be lapses in mindfulness, so he will turn back and go to the same place where his mind first becomes separated from his subject of meditation. So that means, let's say you're walking, at first you're mindful, and then you lose your mindfulness, but you do not know. Then you take a few steps, let's say 3 steps, and then you realize there was no mindfulness in the last 3 steps. Then you turn back 3 steps, and then you redo. So restart again from where you left off. Yeah, so this is how they practice in the old days. So if you find in your walking meditation you keep losing your mindfulness, you can try this. Again and again, you turn back. So to do this, you must at least have some clarity as to when is the first point where you lost your mindfulness. So otherwise you can't even trace back. So at least there is some clarity there. So that is a good starting point. So from there you slowly work your way so that the time between the first point when you lose your mindfulness until the point you realize it becomes shorter and shorter and shorter. Then eventually there's no gap at all. So there's one example of an elder, a Thera, an elder in the ancient Sri Lanka. So the elder Mahapusa Deva, that's his name, Mahapusa Deva, very long name. The veranda dweller. So he lived in ancient Sri Lanka. So this elder, it is said that for 19 years, he dwelt fulfilling just this duty of going and returning. That means going with it and returning with his meditation. Okay, so for 19 years he did that. Okay, so and he followed that practice. So every time when he go for alms round, when he realized that his mind is no longer mindful, he will trace back where he left off and then go back there and start again. So he keep doing this again and again and again. So along the way where he goes for alms round, there are farmers working in the fields. So they say when the people who are plowing, sowing and threshing along the way saw the elder going in this way, going back and forth. So they said, this elder, he goes and turns back again and again. Is he confused about the way, or has he forgotten something? But this elder, this Thera, he do not care. So he don't take notice of them. His attention, he was trying to hold his mind on his meditation. So he paid no attention to the people around him. Okay, so taking no notice of them, with his mind engaged only in his subject of meditation, he carried out the practice of a recluse. Samana Dhamma, practice of a recluse. This is a practice of the yogi, striving for liberation, meditation. Okay, so he carried out the practice of a recluse and attained arahantship within 20 years. So imagine his retreat 20 years. How many years is your retreat? So his retreat 20 years. So this is very common in the old days. So they keep practicing until they attain arahantship, no matter how long it takes. 20, 30, 40 years, they just keep going. Okay. And it is said on the day he attained arahantship. So he was a veranda dweller. That means he dwelled in the courtyard. So and on the day he attained arahantship, the deva living at the end of his meditation walkway, where he do his walking meditation, there's a deva who lives at the end of the path. So that Deva stood there, he said, lighting up the island with his fingers. So imagine lighting up the whole of the island of Sri Lanka with the fingers. So yeah, I don't think we should take this literally, because if the fingers is so bright, you can't even see anything. And I think this simply means very bright light issuing from the fingers. And sometimes in the old ancient texts, they like to use a superlative in order to describe things like this. Well, the intention is that it's very bright. Okay? So the Deva stood there, lighting up the place with his fingers. Okay? And then the 4 great kings, Jatu Maharaja, came. The 4 great kings, Saka Devaraja, as well as the Brahma Sahampati, the Mahabrahma, came to attend on him also. So, yes, the Devas, they like to come and attend to Arahants. So, then there was another elder, Elder Mahatissa, the forest dweller. So it was at night. So he was living nearby, and he saw the radiance coming from where this elder Mahapusa Deva was living. Okay? So the following day, he went to him, and he was curious. He said, there was a radiance near the Venerable One last night. What is that radiance? He asked. Okay? So this elder, he replied in an elusive manner. He tried to avoid the question, because monks, you see, as well as yogis, they're humble. Okay, so they don't like to boast about their attainments to others. If you have any attainment, you keep it to yourself. You don't want to tell any people. Okay, so yeah, and it's actually a very wise move, because if let's say you are an Arya, even a Sotapanna also, what more Arahant? If you talk to other people about your attainment and they don't believe you, and on top of that maybe they make fun of you, then it will be akusala karma for them. So usually yogis are very careful to whom they share their experience with. So usually they share only with the teachers. So this elder, he tried to avoid the question. So he said, he replied, he said, radiance. Indeed, there is radiance of the lamp. There's a radiance of the gems. There are all kinds of radiance. So maybe the place where he was meditating, right, there was a lamp, and so maybe there's because it's a courtyard, maybe there's some decoration there made of gems. So he said, yeah, there are all these various radiance. They try to avoid. But this other monk, this other elder Mahatissa, was very persistent. He pressed him for an answer. So he said, you are concealing something. So in the end, he has to give up. He admitted, and then he told him what happened. Okay? So only after being pressed, then only he told him what exactly happened. Okay? And then there was another elder, another Thera, the Thera Mahanaga. So it is said that while he was also fulfilling the duty of going and returning, he resolved first of all to keep only the standing and walking posture for 7 years, thinking that I will honor the great striving of the Bhagawa, the Buddha. So the Buddha strived for 6 years in order to attain enlightenment. So he wants to honor the Buddha. So he resolved to keep to the standing posture for 6 years plus 1 year. So now, according to the sub-commentary, so this is said by way of the postures determined, not by way of refusal to sit down, which is inevitable, which is inevitably necessary at the time of eating, and so on. When you eat, you cannot eat standing up, especially for a monk. Okay, so at that time, he sits down. Okay, so it's not that he totally did not sit down. Okay, there are times when it's necessary, then he sit down. When he's eating, he has to sit down. When you go to the toilet, you have to sit down. So, so but also when you're sleeping, you can't sleep while you're standing. So for him, I think he will sit. So he will be one of those who practice the Dutanga, sitting. He do not lie down. Okay. So, but at all other times, he remains standing. So he carry out this practice in this way. In order to honor the Buddha. So it says, for veneration shown through the practice is the highest veneration to the teacher, to the Buddha, and not veneration through offering material things. So then after he fulfilled the duty of going and returning, so after the 7 years, he fulfilled the duty of going and returning for another 16 years. Yeah. So how many years altogether? 23 years. After 23 years, he attained arahantship. So in his case, his retreat was 23 years. So in this way, he would raise his foot with his mind engaged only in his subject of meditation. Okay? But should he raise it with his mind disengaged, then he would turn back. Okay? So he practiced in the same way as the previous monks that we mentioned. Okay? Then on coming close to a village, this is when he go for alms round. On coming close to a village, he would stand at a place at such a distance from the village whereby those looking from the village would be uncertain as to whether he is a cow or whether he is a monk, one who has gone for. You see, because you see the color of this robe, so it's a bit brownish, right? It's a reddish brown. So it's similar to the color of the brown cow, right? So if you stand at a certain distance away, far enough, when people look at you, they cannot tell whether that is a monk or whether that is a cow. So he stand at that distance away from the village. Okay? So, and there he would put on his robe and take his bowl. And when he arrived at the village entrance, he would fill his mouth with water from his water carrier and then enter the village, thinking that when people approach to offer alms or pay respect, let me not be distracted from my subject of meditation through having to utter even the mere wish, may you live long. Okay? So as monks, so sometimes it's polite when devotees offer us some dana, so we wish them well, right? May you be well, happy, and peaceful. Or we do the chanting and so on. So, Bhavatu Sabha Mangalam and so on, right? So, but so he don't even want to do this because when you do this, then your attention, you have to turn your attention away from your meditation. So therefore, he keep the water in his mouth without swallowing, so that it reminds him, don't talk. So he practice in this way. But it is said that if devotees ask him about the day, such as what day of the month it is, sometimes they ask, then he would swallow the water and answer them. So this goes back to a case in the Vinaya. So because in the Buddha's time, unlike now, we don't have, those people in those days, they don't have a calendar at home to refer to. So if they want to know what day of the month it is, usually they go and ask the monks. Because the monks is supposed to be learned people. They are supposed to know how to keep track of the moon and know the days. Okay, but then it so happened that some group of monks, they do not know how to calculate. So the day of the month. So when they reply the devotees, we do not know. They were criticized for it. So the Buddha then allowed the monks to learn how to calculate the calendar. Okay. So when people ask about the day of the month, so it is necessary to answer. Otherwise, people will criticize. So in this case, he swallowed the water and he answered. So, and if no one asks about the day, then after his alms round, at the time when he's leaving the village, he will spit out the water at the village entrance and go. Okay. So that's how he practiced. Okay. So that's how he tried to not to be distracted by talking. So he keep this water in his mouth. So maybe yogis also, you should keep the water in your mouth, especially those who like to talk. Keep the water in the mouth. Every time when you want to talk, the water will remind you, you're not supposed to talk. And then there's a case of another 50 bhikkhus who entered the rain's residence, the Vassa, at a certain monastery, at the place called Kalambatita, also in Sri Lanka. So it is said that on the Uposatha day, approaching the Vassa, the rain's residence, they make an agreement, a pact among themselves. Okay? As long as we have not attained arahantship, we will not talk to each other. Yeah. So this agreement means that they will spend all their day away from each other, although it's in the same monastery, but in different places in the monastery, keeping quiet, keeping noble silence, practicing meditation. But it doesn't mean that they totally do not talk, because during Uposatha days, they need to meet, they need to confess, make confession. If they have break any Vinaya rules, they need to do confession. They need to recite the Patimokkha, right? So on those days they meet, so they do speak to each other. But at all other times, they remain in seclusion, okay, meditating. So, and before entering the village for alms, at the village entrance, so similarly they also they fill their mouth with water and enter the village. So on being asked about the day, they would swallow the water and answer. And if no one asked them, then they would, before leaving the village, they would spit out the water at the entrance of the village and return to the monastery. Okay? And the lay people, by looking at the place where they spit out the water, looking at how many puddles of water there are, they will be able to tell, today one monk have come, today 2 of them have come. So, but then this lay devotees, you can say they're a bit busybody, curious. They consider, why do they neither talk to us nor with each other? So if they do not even talk to each other, then a quarrel must have arisen among them. They simply assume. So let us then make them forgive each other. Busybody, nothing better to do. And so as if they all went to the monastery. And at the monastery, they do not see 2 bhikkhus among the 50 bhikkhus who have entered the Vassa then, who stay in the same place. And they were each living in a separate location within the monastery. So it must be a very big area. Okay? Yeah. So, however, a wise man among them, a knowledgeable man among them said, he was very observant, he looked around and then he said, a dwelling place of those who are quarreling is not like that. It's not like this. It says the terrace of the Chetya and the Bodhi tree is well swept. The brooms are properly kept away. Water for drinking and washing are well set out. So if they were quarreling, they will not be doing all these duties. So you see the monastery are well maintained. So that means they are not quarreling. Rather, they are meditating in seclusion. Okay? So when they realize this, so they turn back. Yeah. And so he said, within the 3 months of the Vassa, those bhikkhus arouse insight and attain arahantship. Okay? And at the end of the Vassa, during the great Pavarana ceremony, they carry out a pure Pavarana ceremony. So Pavarana ceremony is a ceremony carried out by the monks at the end of the Vassa. Okay? So they said they carry out pure Pavarana. That means all the bhikkhus, because they have already attained arahantship, their mind is completely purified from the defilements. Yeah. So such bhikkhus, they are called those who bring along the subject of meditation as well as bring it back. Okay, so this is the example that yogis must follow. So they not only bring it during the alms round and bring it back. Once they bring it back, they continue to hold on to the meditation throughout the day and through the 2 watches of the night. They continue to meditate continuously. Okay, so they strive not to fall outside the domain, the territory. Okay? So all yogis must strive to do this, especially during a retreat. Okay? Even outside a retreat, also you should try throughout the day to note as much as you can. It's more difficult, of course, but it can be done if you are really determined. So, okay, so then it is said, a person who fulfills this observance of one who carries forth and carries back the meditation. Such a person, he reaches arahantship even in the first part of his life. That means here they are dividing your life into three parts: youth, middle age, and old age. Okay, so a person, a yogi or bhikkhu, carries out this practice. So bringing forth and back. So that means meditating continuously throughout the day. So you can reach arahantship. If you are practicing when you are young, you may reach arahantship. So when your first stage of a life is about when? Let's say 100 years, so up to 33, right? So how old are you? So still in the period of you, one more year. So try, maybe you can. So it says if he possesses the necessary condition, the sufficing condition, you attain arahantship. The sufficient condition to accomplish the destruction of ignorance and its defilements. Okay, so if we carry out this practice of holding on to the meditation continuously, and if we have the sufficient conditions, the paramis and so on, then you will attain arahantship in the first period of youth. If he fails to reach arahantship in the early age, then he reaches it in the middle age. So still have chance. So if he fails in the middle age, then he attained at the time of death. So that means the third part of his life, old age, until the moment of death. Even right until the moment of death, there's still possibility of attaining arahantship if you practice up to that point. So if he fails at that time of death, then after becoming a deva, he attained arahantship. Right? So if he fails as a deva, then at a time when no Buddha has appeared on earth, he's born as a man and realizes the truth as Pacceka Buddha. And if he fails even this, he fails to realize the truth as a Pacceka Buddha, then immediately on meeting a Sammasambuddha, a fully enlightened Buddha, he becomes a person who have quick realization, like the elder Bahiya Daruchirya. You remember this elder? The Buddha gave him a very brief instruction. In what is seen, there's only the seen. In what is heard, there's only the heard, and so on. Very short instruction. He attained arahantship immediately. So very quick insight, very quick realization. So this person will become a person such as a person of quick insight, such as this elder Bahiya Daruchirya, or one of great wisdom, like the elder Sariputta, or one of great psychic powers, like the elder Mahamoggallana, or an exponent of the ascetic practices, like the elder Mahakassapa, or one who possesses the divine eye, like the elder Anuruddha, or an expert in a Vinaya, like the elder Upali, or an expounder of the Dhamma, like the elder Punnamantaniputta, or the forest dweller, like the elder Revata, or one of the great learned monk, like the elder Ananda, or one desirous of training, like the elder Rahula, the Buddha's son. So by practicing in this way, carrying your meditation subject with you continuously throughout the day, day in, day out, throughout your retreat. So yeah, actually cultivating, developing your mind, the insight, the wisdom, the paramis, all these things you are developing. So you are developing the potential for arahantship. So the potential is very strong in this very life you can attain. If not, then in the next life. If not as a Pacceka Buddha. If not, then when you meet the future Sammasambuddha, maybe Madhya Buddha, then you may become one of the great disciples of the Buddha. Who knows? Yeah. So this is to emphasize the importance of this practice. Okay. In another commentary that I read, in the commentary to the Sutta Nipata, when they were discussing about Pacceka Buddha. So the commentary says that no one has ever attained enlightenment as a Pacceka Buddha without practicing this practice of taking the meditation subject forward and back. Okay, so to attain arahantship, so as a Pacceka Buddha, no, you have to practice this. So this is the meaning of Gochara Sampajanya. Keeping with a clear mind, you keep within the domain of Satipatthana. You practice continuously, noting moment after moment after moment, from the first moment you wake up in the morning until you fall asleep at night. Okay? If you cannot fall asleep, you continue noting. Okay. Okay, so we stop here today. Imaya Dhamma Nudhamma Patipatiya Buddham Pujemi. Imaya Dhamma Nudhamma Patipatiya Dhammam Pujemi. Imaya Dhamma Nudhamma Patipatiya Sangham Pujemi. Imaya Dhamma Nudhamma Patipatiya Mata Pitunam Pujemi. Imaya Dhamma Nudhamma Patipatiya Acariyanam Pujemi. Ada imaya Patipadaya Jaram Ranama Primocisami. Idame punyam Asawakaya Waham Hotu. Idame punyam Nibbanasa Pacayo Hotu. Idame silam Magaphalanyanasa Pacayo Hotu. Imam no Punya Bhagam Sabbasatanam Dema. Imam no Punya Bhagam Sabbasatanam Dema. Imam no Punya Bhagam Sabbasatanam Dema. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And so may all of you be well, happy, and peaceful always. May all of you be healthy, be safe, and be strong always. May you all be able to practice the Dhamma continuously without any obstacle, without any troubles. May you all be able to soon experience the unconditioned peace of Nibbana through your practice of Dhamma.